Hi everyone, this is the movie for Chapter 5's lab. So I started by bringing the simple setup resources file down from Blackboard. I have opened it up in Project and I am on page 94 in your textbook. And so the first thing that we're going to do is to actually set up our work resources. So in this case, we have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, and then a category called copy editors, which is a group of people. So I'm going to go and go to the View tab, and then I'm going to find the Resources View group and pick Resource Sheet. This is where I'm going to start to define my work resources. So in this case, it's people. So I'm just going to go ahead and type these in. I'm just going to hit enter. It's going to go down. We're going to put Sharon Salaveria. Did I spell that wrong? S-A-L-A-V-A-R-A. Okay. Toby. Tony, Zach, and the copy editors. Okay, so we have all of those in, but we don't have any information about them right now. So first thing we're going to do is this copy editors, there's more than one person. It's a group, so they can devote more than 100% of time. So I'm going to pop them up to 400%. So the copy editors can, as a group, can spend 400% of the standard work unit. Okay, so then Sharon is only going to be able to work on this project half time. So in her max, I'm going to move it down to 50%. So this group can devote 400%, and Sharon can only do half-time on this particular project. So the next thing we want to do is put in their rate of work. So I'm going to start at this first one, and that's an hourly person, so 42 per hour, so /hour. Sharon is a salary person, so we're going to put her unit is going to be week, so she can 1,100 per week. And I'm going to open this up, just double click and it's going to open it so you can see it. Toby is going to be 2,700 /WK for the unit of measure is a week. Tony, we're going to leave at 0 because they're the book author. They're not really working on this project as a rate. Zach is 55 per hour, and the copy editors are 45 per hour. Okay, so we have those units of work done, and our picture should match. Oh, we got to do overtime rate. Sorry. So overtime, we're going to do 63 per hour. Okay. Now we should look like the picture on 5/7 on page 96 of your textbook. So the next thing we want to do is adjust our work time in a resource calendar. So if you're like, okay, shoot, I don't remember how to do that, that's when you would want to look back in your materials. So we're going to turn to page, it's on page 86, and 87 is the steps for how you would adjust your resource calendar. So we're going to go to the Project tab, the Properties group, Project tab, Properties group. We're going to find the Change Work Time. But who are we changing our time for? We're changing it for Toby. So I'm going to put my cursor here on Toby. Change work time. I can always change the calendar here for who I'm working with. It's the standard, and we're going to have to move it to, wrong way. We're going to move it to 2023, I think, right? 2023 and January. So Toby's going to be, no, Juan. No, Toby. Yeah, we're in Toby. He is going to be at a conference on the 26th. So we want to pick the 26th, right? And then we're going to add an exception down here. So we're going to say Toby attending a conference, and it's 126 to 126, and it would become a non-work. So we should have the 26th here as an exception to that calendar. All right, so then we want to work with want to change the default work week to a 4x10 work schedule. So that's 4 days per week for 10 hours per day, Monday through Thursday. This June, maybe June. I'm not sure how to say the name. I'm so sorry. She's going to work from 8 to 7 with noon for the lunch hour. So if we want to look at how to do that, if we turn back in our textbooks on page 89, it talks about how to do that. So in the 4 calendar, we're going to change it to June. Oh yeah, I want to save Toby. Sorry about that. And then we want not exception, but rather the work week for this person. So right now it's set to a default, but we want to change that to 8 to noon and 1 to 7. So we're going to click, make sure you're in work weeks. We're going to come over here to details, and she's going to work Monday through Thursday. So I just used my shift key. I clicked Monday, click on Thursday, and then over here we're going to do set the days for these specific. So it's 8 to noon and 1 to 7. We're going to change that one to 7 p.m. All right, we're going to go ahead and do OK. And now this person's calendar would be set to Monday through Thursday, 8 to 7. We're going to go ahead and do OK. And so then we're going to set up some cost resources. So the scenario for this one, I'm on page 97, is that for accounting purposes, you need to track travel expenses in the plan. So remember, costs are different than work. These are things that are a cost that's outside of work product. So we're in that same screen, but we're going to add a new resource called travel, but this time the type of work is cost. And so we have travel cost set up as a type of resource, okay? It just happens to be a cost resource. Okay, I'm going to take a minute and save. All right, so I'm on page 98 now. You collect some resource details that are valuable to record in the plan. So we're going to add a note for Toby, right? So if we're at resource, so once again, let's say you're like, I'm not sure exactly how to do that. That's where you look back into the chapter, and this particular information is found on page 91. So we want to go back to the view And in resource view, we want to do resource sheet, right? And we want to pick, okay, so there's two different ways to put this. One is through the dialog box and one is through a form. This particular one for Toby, we're going to use the dialog box. So I'm on view resource sheet and I click Toby. I'm then going to move over to resources, right? And then we're going to pick in the properties, we want to select notes, okay? I'm going to get a dialog box that I'm sitting here in notes. We're going to come down here and say, Toby, what are we saying? Toby worked on launch campaigns for Tony Poe's previous 2 books. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do OK on that. So now we have a note next to Toby's name. Now we're going to select Sharon, and in this case we want to use the form. So in this case we're on resources, we're in the we're going to go back to view. We're going to do resource sheet, which were there. No, Sharon, go back to resources, sorry. Go back to resources, and then in the property group, we're going to select detail. So last time we did notes, this time we're going to do detail. And it's going to bring up this information at the bottom, right? So what we want to pick is, hold on a second. Okay, so let me start over. I did not do that very well. So on resources, I click detail. It brings this up. We click anywhere down here in the form. Notice now we have the resource forms tool. We want to click on format there and go to notes, right? So it switches what you're going to see down here. It's just another way of doing it. So here we're going to say Sharon's standard pay rate is adjusted for her half-time work schedule, period. Okay. So now Sharon has a note next to it. So if we go back to view, let's just go to Gantt chart and get out of there for a minute. Right, so we still have our resources up. We can, let's go. Okay, so I just went back to Gantt chart view, right? And I included the timeline, so I checked that to have the timeline show up here and my Gantt chart here. This is always a quick way to just kind of move through time. But, right, so now we have some notes here. We have our tasks that should have been in there. And then if we go to resource sheet, we should have all of our work and cost resources. So at this point, you can save it and submit it because this Chapter 5 lab is all done for you. All right, thank you.